All right, here we go. The AMD where gaming begins in the Zen 3 presentation. It's a black picture. Wow, you can count the pixels. Look at this. It's so black. Oh. Forward-looking statements? What? Okay.
Started Zen from scratch, starting with a clean sheet of paper.
Zen turned out to be a grounds-up design, which doesn't come along very often.
What is
In
the
the
audio?
life of an engineer,
It
you
feels
get to build something
muffled.
significant once, twice, if you're lucky, 3 times in your lifetime. AMD enables the engineers to go off and innovate and to bring to market what it is that they dream about.
I'm extremely pleased to show you for the first time the
Man.
name of our new CPU.
Yeah.
Now it's time for you to see Ryzen in action. We wanted to disrupt the PC market. We wanted to bring innovation, choice.
They need anti-experts to clear that up.
As people as possible.
Yes, they do,
In
because it's
high-performance
amazing.
PCs, it was about delivering more performance at every single price point.
The Ryzen Threadripper acknowledges that there are people who want to create and game on the same PC and need the scalability and need the performance
this
to
Twitch?
do that. And that's what's really exciting about the Threadripper
Give me
chip.
just a second here.
It was our commitment to our customers that we would deliver to the roadmap that we set out, and momentum is now on our side.
The anticipation around
Now
third
it's
gen
time
Ryzen
for you to
is
see
really impressive. Meet the world's first 16-core
wanted
gaming
to
processor.
Yeah, this
Now,
is
in
Twitch.
2019, third gen Ryzen Vid.
This is Twitch. Wait, if not, we're watching it on YouTube. I don't
It makes
care.
me so proud to be able to look back and say that I was part of that.
Our mission with Ryzen has always been clear. It's about making the right bet.
Yeah, this is Intel.
Same PC and need the scalability and need the performance to
This
do
is
that. And that's
Intel
what's
Low.
really exciting about the Threadripper
It's
chip.
Twitch.
It was our commitment to our customers that we would deliver
Okay.
to the roadmap that we set out, and
Tuesday is my
momentum
announcement
is
day.
now on our
Apple.
side.
The anticipation
Yawn.
around third gen Ryzen
Sorry.
is really impressive. Meet the world's first 16-core gaming processor.
Now in 2019, third gen Ryzen Vid.
What we did in Zen was push well beyond what we thought we could
Yeah,
do.
we're a little bit
It
behind
makes
you on
me so
YouTube,
proud to be able
but
to look back
bad.
and say that I was part of that.
Our mission with Ryzen has always been clear. It's about making the right bets 3 to 5 years in advance and making sure that they come to fruition. Our goal is to give you the best. Welcome, everyone. Big welcome to all of you, and thank you all for joining us today. I've been looking forward to this moment all year, and I know many of you have too. It's been a challenging year for everyone as we've navigated the COVID-19 pandemic globally.
This is pre-recorded,
But
by the
one
way.
thing we've learned is just how important high-performance computing technologies really are. From work, to school, to gaming, to entertainment, the PC is now the computing platform of choice in 2020. And I'm really excited to show you today what we have been working on for the next-gen PC platforms, and especially for all of you gamers. Now, it's already been an
Yay!
incredible year for gamers. There's
Oh,
so much
PlayStation.
excitement around the next-gen consoles.
Woo!
We are so proud to power the new Sony PlayStation 5 with a high-performance custom
And
chip
Xbox Series
featuring
X.
our AMD Ryzen CPU and AMD Radeon GPU technology. And we are equally proud that custom AMD processors also power the new Microsoft Xbox Series X and Series S consoles, again, featuring our high-performance Ryzen and Radeon technologies. These consoles are bringing just incredible technology to gamers all over the world and are really a result of just deep engineering partnerships over many, many years with both Sony and Microsoft. Now, gaming is at the heart of so much of what we do at AMD.
She is Angela
Whether you're talking
Merkel,
about
this
PCs
shit.
or consoles or cloud
With her
gaming and
hands.
mobile.
I'm just waiting for
AMD
this.
loves gaming, and we like to say gaming begins with AMD. So today, we're going to talk specifically about our next-gen PC gaming platform. So let's talk a little bit about Ryzen. Now, you guys know we brought the first generation of Ryzen to market in 2017. And we actually had one goal. It was to build the best PC desktop processor
Inside joke.
possible.
It's a German inside joke.
Now, we knew we wouldn't get there in one
ask.
step. But with each generation of Ryzen, it's gotten better.
Mosey.
And we focused on how do we deliver more performance? How do we deliver the best features? And how do we give more capabilities to all of you PC enthusiasts so that you can do more than you ever thought with your desktop or in your notebook? And we've made great progress. We started with Ryzen in desktops, and then we introduced Ryzen Threadripper in high-end desktops. And now, actually, Ryzen is in many amazing notebook systems with our Ryzen 4000 series. I think it's safe to say that AMD loves the PC, and I think also it's safe to say that PC users love Ryzen. So we really appreciate that. Now look, let's just focus on the desktop for a few minutes.
Cool.
The progress we have made over the last few years has been really amazing. If you look at the market before Ryzen, the desktop PC was on sort of an incremental performance slope for the last many years.
That's what I said, yeah.
Now, over the past 3 years, we've significantly changed that trajectory and really completely reset expectations as we've gone from first-gen Ryzen to second-gen, now to third-gen Ryzen. We were the first to launch a 7-nanometer desktop processor, and today, third-gen Ryzen leads in so many areas. We're the highest in multi-threaded performance. We are the best in terms of power efficiency, and third-gen Ryzen is an absolutely great gaming processor. But as you know, we're really ambitious. So our work with Ryzen is never done. Our engineers have been on this maniacal focus of what
Hey,
can we
Andy.
do more?
Good to see you.
What can we do better? So today, we're here to talk about our brand new CPU core. You've all been waiting for it. It's all about Zen 3. And with Zen 3, we focus again on bringing the best to the PC market.
That's what
So
they normally
proud of
do
what
at
we've
this point.
accomplished. Zen 3 increases our lead in overall performance. It increases our lead in power efficiency. And also now, it delivers the best single-threaded performance and gaming performance as well. We've made massive changes in the core architecture.
Which is
and I'm
funny
sure all of
because
you wanna know
gaming
what's inside Zen 3.
Moves
So let me hand it
from
over to
single
AMD CTO
threading.
Mark Papermaster to give you all the details. Mark?
Wait, his name is
Well, thank you,
Papermaster?
Lisa. I couldn't be more excited than to share a little bit more about Zen 3
No.
and our progression to get here. It's been
No.
quite a journey. We set a course over 5 years ago to design a family of high
His name is
x86
Papermaster? And he's
Our
the
goal,
chief
very
of
simply,
technology?
outright leadership. We set up a team so that development of multiple processor generations could be done in parallel, with designers leapfrogging from one generation to another. This has resulted in consistent delivery to the market as promised.
That's
We could not be
amazing.
more proud than to help unveil
It's
our
like
third
the head
generation
of Xbox
Zen Core,
acquisition,
debuting
Mad
on Ryzen
Beauty.
desktops this fall.
It's like
It
Mad
is a
Booty?
beast in
Really?
performance
And
and will
he's
deliver
acquiring
absolute
like
leadership
new
in the
studios all the
x86
time?
market.
Like he's buying all
Zen
the
brought us
studios?
back into high
Get
performance
that
with
booty.
a 52% improvement in instruction per clock in a single generation. It built a strong base
I love
for
when
us to
when
build
names are
upon
just checking
as we
out.
developed the Zen family. Last year, Zen 2 brought double-digit % increase in instruction per clock.
Yeah,
and
Bowser
debuted 7 nanometer
for
chiplet
Nintendo
technology.
Americans. Like,
That 7 nanometer efficiency enabled leadership, multi-core performance,
okay.
and core density.
I love when names are
Innovative
checking out.
chiplet implementation allowed us ease of manufacturing with the small 7 nanometer die and scalability to leadership core counts. And now Zen 3. Wow, what a great job by the
A
design
new
team to
core
improve
layout.
every aspect of the CPU,
Huh.
delivering leadership performance in that same 7 nanometer node. Higher frequency, higher instruction per clock, with design improvements across all of the CPU components, and lower latency on top of that. You look
Yeah,
at
I have
some of
a
the
I have
key
a Zen
elements.
Plus.
There's a new layout, of our processor that brings all the cores
So-
onto a unified 8-core complex. And that accelerates core-to-core communication.
That should
That's
do a lot,
especially
yeah.
helpful for gaming workloads. That
Like the
consolidation
biggest problem of the Ryzens at
actually
the beginning
allows
were
every
basically
core
that
to directly
parts of the
access
CPU were
32
separated
megabytes of L3 cache, and that
on multiple
dramatically accelerates
CPUs.
workloads that are latency
And because of that, you
sensitive, like gaming.
lost some of the
And
speed.
finally,
Like it was one of the
significant changes
main
throughout
issues the
Zen
Ryzen
3
had at the beginning.
architecture, generating
Well,
a 19% instruction per clock uplift. That's on top of the significant gains that we had just in the mid of last year with Zen 2.
That camera
Altogether,
work needs some work.
Zen 3 is our most significant architectural update yet across the Zen family. We made the Zen 3 floating point and integer execution units wider, more flexible, and allows us to deliver more execution capability to the user at a lower latency. We've increased the number of loads and stores
What he is saying
we
is
can
that
do versus
technology
Zen 2,
has now a bigger
helping us
booty.
feed those wider execution capabilities of Zen 3. We've added more branch prediction bandwidth. It allows Zen 3 to tackle back-to-back predictions much more quickly, reducing the delays. We call it zero bubble. These innovations keep Zen 3 ahead of the industry norm on generational improvements and position Zen 3-based Ryzen to be a clear desktop performance leader. Microprocessor performance engineering never has one single bullet. It takes focused microprocessor engineering. It's a broad set of improvements that are needed to make a great architecture. It takes innovation on all of the key levers. Zen 3 is a total front-to-back redesign. The microarchitecture had laser focus on performance on every element.
I mean, it's in the end only
caching,
90%.
load store, our execution units, our prefetching, our dispatch, our decode.
I'm interested
Zen
what
2,
they mean with
in fact, had
fixed
been organized
4
with two
gigahertz.
4-core cache complexes, and it was
Yeah,
tightly
this is what I
integrated.
meant, by the way.
That was a very good design, but what we found
Like the problem
is
with
that
the
we
Zens was
brought that
basically that they
together
had
into that
like
single unified cache core
two
complex,
CPUs, so to
that we
speak.
brought
Like it's
that,
not the same, but they
direct
basically had
access
two
to 32
units,
megabytes of
and they had to
L3 cache rather
communicate
than
all the
the
time.
16 megabytes
And
that we
that
had with Zen 2.
communication
That
slowed
direct
the
access
Zen,
to a cache pool of this size is very significant.
and they
for
eliminated
gaming.
that.
They tend to make frequent use, of course, of the
It's
memory
now
subsystem.
one
And in
part.
fact, many games have a dominant thread. And that makes especially heavy use of the cache. And that thread now sees effectively twice the L3 cache in Zen 3. So every core can now communicate
So this is
directly
really,
to the
really
cache
important.
without traversing across the die. And that reduces latency. And it stays synchronized for applications using AI, audio, physics, and more. You can see that we continue our relentless commitment to energy efficiency with every generation. We're always honing our design methodologies to
I
focus on
like how they
performance
not
per
even
watt,
like mention my
even as
CPU
we
in
make
there.
the processors faster for gamers.
Oh yeah, you have a Zen
Zen
Plus?
3 is no different, delivering up to
Your fault.
24% improvement in power efficiency versus the prior generation. That's double-digit performance per watt uplift in the same process node. And that's on top of all the architectural changes that we drove in to drive up the performance. Our commitment to energy efficiency across time has put us in the driver's seat. Today, we're more than 2.8x more efficient than competing high-end desktop processors. And that's only a strengthening of the
Which is
leadership
only
we
Intel.
demonstrated during the prior Zen 2 era. We will not let up going forward. We're focused on execution. Zen 3 is shipping as promised, and the 5-nanometer Zen 4 on track, in design. The AMD team
Wow,
is
okay.
hitting on all cylinders, and there's no shortage of innovations for the next generation of Zen processors to keep AMD in the forefront and deliver the best compute experience.
Yeah, so
for
5
customers.
nanometers is coming with
Thank
Zen
you.
4,
And let me
and
welcome
Intel
back
is
Lisa
still
to now show
considering
off
to
our
finally
Zen
go
3
down to
and
10
new
nanometers
Ryzen processors.
from 14, and it's like, you can get there, Intel.
Thank you,
You
Mark.
can do it.
That was great. I'm so proud of what the team has accomplished with Zen 3. We really focused on what is most important for gamers and enthusiasts. And at 19% IPC increase, it's our largest increase generation over generation since we launched the Zen family. So now let's see Zen 3 in action. I'm so proud to show you for the very first time the AMD Ryzen 5000 series for high-performance PCs. the world's first Zen 3 powered CPU. This is the AMD Ryzen 9 5900X. 12 cores, 24 threads, and a boost up to 4.8 gigahertz. It's a very special product, the ultimate enthusiast processor. Compared to the 3900 XT, the 5900X has 19% higher IPC, higher clock speeds, and all of the Zen 3 core improvements that Mark talked about, all while remaining at 105 watts. This makes Ryzen 5900X a big upgrade from 3rd gen Ryzen all around, but especially in gaming. Now let me turn it over to Robert Halleck to show you the 5900X in action.
It's a lot of threads.
Thanks, Lisa. Hey everyone, let me give you a sense of just how much faster the 5900X is compared to our current best, the 3900 XT. To do that, we're going to use Shadow of the Tomb Raider, a game I personally love, and a game reviewers often look at to judge CPU performance. We're going to run the built-in benchmark here at 1080p using the high image quality
AMD.
preset on two otherwise identical systems.
What? I'm not pre-ordering.
You can see a whopping 28% increase
What
just by moving from the
what do you mean?
39XT to the 5900X in Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And as you will soon see, the performance from the 5900X is faster than the competing processors as well. Now, as any enthusiast knows, 28% from a processor change is a massive
It's a
upgrade.
retailer here.
But that's what AMD customers
Port.
like me
Not
can look
port.
forward to.
Port.
This truly demonstrates
Cyberport.
the gaming strength for Zen 3.
No, I'm
when you
actually like,
combine
if I
the
buy
historic
hardware, I
IPC
buy
uplift,
from Mind
unified
Factory.
cores, and unified cache
I've
pools.
bought Mind Factory
Now, as we zoom out
for
to look
years.
at a wider set of games, you can see that the 28% uplift in Shadow of the Tomb Raider is joined by many titles with significant double-digit performance improvements.
Damn.
The gains are even bigger in titles like CSGO and League of Legends, where the highest possible frame rate is practically the #1 priority to be competitive.
Yeah, we don't really
Overall,
have that here. So
gamers upgrading from the Ryzen 3000 series to the Ryzen 5000 series can expect an average.
by the way, if you're
performance
wondering
improvement
what happened to the
of
4000 series,
26%
they skipped that more or less. The 4000
Again,
series
this is just
is
a
in
monumental performance
laptops
jump for an
and
in-socket
notebooks
upgrade
and
in the
stuff.
same motherboard.
That's the
And a
4000
true
series, and they
testament
basically
for how
skipped
good
it for the
Zen 3 is in gaming.
processors for the
Now, as many know,
desktop
strong
versions.
gaming performance relies on strong single-core performance. That's exactly what Zen 3 has. And I
But
want to
it's
show you
changing.
using Cinebench R20 single thread. There are many ways to assess single thread performance, but Cinebench is a fast and easy tool that you can run at home. And it's one
True.
of the 25 workloads that we used to calculate the 19% improvement for Zen 3's instructions per cycle.
Well, there you see some
As you
numbers.
can see, the 5900X is the first desktop processor to ever break a 600 score. And we don't break it by a little,
Damn.
we break it by a lot with a score of 631. We at AMD
That's pretty
heard
good.
you loud and clear as you challenged us to continue investing in single core performance, and the results speak for themselves. The combination of IPC, frequency, cores, and cache give AMD the fastest cores in the desktop market and give you the best possible gaming performance. So let's take that landmark core performance into a head-to-head battle. Across the same set of games you just saw, the AMD Ryzen 9 5900X is a clear winner at 1080p.
Well,
As I
besides
promised
of
you, AMD
a
wins in Shadow of the Tomb Raider by
Battlefield 5.
+6, and is joined by many other games popular with reviewers and users like you. League of Legends and CSGO are once again standout victories for the Ryzen 9 5900X. So that was a lot of data very quickly. Let's take a step back. Let's recap. You saw an average uplift of 26% for Ryzen customers upgrading from the 3000
I mean, who's still
series
playing Battlefield
to the
5 here,
5000
let's be
series.
honest.
You just watched AMD deliver the highest single-core performance in the entire desktop PC market.
Yeah,
And you just saw AMD clearly offer the best performance of any gaming processor on the market.
not like other
I will put
companies
it
who only
plainly.
show the good
We
stuff.
know that you're going to wait for benchmarks, but customers who buy processors purely for their gaming performance will
Same goes
absolutely
with
want a Ryzen
NVIDIA.
9 5900X for the best possible PC gaming experience. Now let's bring Lisa back up to give you more details on these awesome gaming processors.
Hi, Lisa.
Thanks,
Welcome
Robert.
back.
That was fantastic. I hope you're all now convinced that the Ryzen 9 5900X is the best gaming processor in the world. Now let's look at the stack. In the 5000 series, we have a great choice for every gamer or PC enthusiast.
I like Lisa.
In addition to the 5900X,
She's
we
pretty
have the
great.
5800X, an 8-core, 16-thread processor with boost frequencies up to 4.7 gigahertz at 105 watts.
Damn.
And we also have the 5600X, a 6-core, 12-thread CPU with boost frequencies up to 4.6 gigahertz at 65 watts. Now let's talk about price and availability. The 6-core 5600X is $299. The 8-core 5800X is $449. And the amazing 5900X, combining the leadership performance and power efficiency of Zen 3,
Especially that 5600X.
is priced at $549.
So cheap.
And all of these will be available globally on November 5th.
Makes sense.
We're really proud of the 5000 series, but you know
Cool.
we're not done. We love our enthusiasts, and there's one more processor in our stack, which is the ultimate processor for gaming and content creation.
Yes.
For those of you who want the very best processor in a desktop PC, we have the 16-core Ryzen 9 5950X. The 5950X is simply an amazing CPU. 16 cores, 32 threads, and our fastest processor with boost frequencies up to 4.9 gigahertz.
Okay.
The 5950X breaks the Cinebench R20 single-threaded record that Robert set just a few minutes ago with a score of 640. It is truly the best in class in every dimension.
Yeah,
Best
they're
gaming
keeping the
performance meets best
TDP.
processor for content creation, and all of this still at 105 watts.
How
now
much?
let's take a look at some of the performance.
Aww.
If we look at the generational uplift from the 3950X to the 5950X, we see up to 27% more performance in CAD workloads and 12% more performance in rendering workloads. More impressively, we see up to 29% more gaming performance. And this is really how we bring the best of both worlds together. The best for gamers and the best for creators. And now, if you put 5950X against the top of the stack from the competition,
Which is
we see
Intel.
that the 5950X provides up to 59% more creative performance in rendering workloads.
Damn.
Double-digit wins in video editing and software compiling.
Oh, it's a tie-in
And
part
we also win in lightly threaded CAD workloads as well. We're really proud of the fact that we also win in gaming. There's nothing like the 5950X in the world. One processor that delivers the best power efficiency, our highest clock speeds, the highest single-core performance in the industry, and the highest multi-core performance of any gaming processor. And it's
Single
priced
core.
at $799 and will also be available globally on November 5th. I hope
Okay,
you're now as
that's a bit
excited
too
about
much.
AMD Ryzen
That's a
5000
bit too
series
much.
as I am. Zen 3 is really amazing, and I'm so happy we could show it to you today. But you guys send me a lot of notes and a lot of tweets, and I know that you're not just excited about Ryzen 5000 series, but there's a tremendous amount of enthusiasm and curiosity about our Radeon lineup as well. So the next few weeks are just an amazing time for us. In addition to introducing our Ryzen 5000 series,
Yeah, we're not
we're
show
also
it here.
going to introduce our next-gen Radeon GPU, and I want to give you a small preview of that today. This is the AMD Radeon RX 6000 series, which we now affectionately call Big Navi, thanks to many of you who nicknamed it for us.
The
It
memes.
is absolutely gorgeous and by far the most powerful gaming GPU
That
we
is
have
also
ever built.
Chungus,
We
just
got a lot
saying.
of requests from our fans on social, and I heard a whole conversation on The Full Nerd last week about wanting to see Zen 3 and Big Navi in action. So today, I'm going to show you a preview of what you can expect from AMD Ryzen 9 5900X
We are getting
and our
numbers?
Radeon 6000 series. We've been doing a
What?
tremendous amount of work optimizing gameplay with Ryzen 5000 and Radeon 6000 series. So let me show you today Borderlands 3, which is a very popular AAA title running at 4K resolution on the Ryzen 5900X
And it's
our Radeon
very...
6000 series. Just take a look
Ooh,
at that
What
performance.
is that initializing?
Over 60 frames per second at 4K with beautiful image quality. We are super excited with what we've accomplished with Big Navi. In addition to Borderlands 3, here's a bit more of a performance preview on Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Gears of War 5 at ultra settings in 4K.
Ah,
And again, what you see is tremendous 4K performance across the board. We still have a few weeks until launch, and the team is working really hard on fine-tuning things. But I hope you're as excited as we are about what Ryzen 5000 series and Radeon 6000 series can do together for your next generation PC. So that brings us to the end. I hope you enjoyed today. It's been so much fun spending time with you. We have a lot more to show you later this month, so join us again on October 28th, where we'll give you the full story of our AMD Radeon RX 6000 series. And make sure you mark your calendar for November 5th to find Ryzen 5000 series on shelf worldwide.
yeah,
Take
good luck
care
with
and
that.
see you soon.
Good luck with that. Fantastic. Interestingly enough, I never really had driver issues, and before my 2080, I had a Vega for many years. I never had any driver issues. Quite the contrary, I had more driver issues with Nvidia when I got the 2080 Super than I ever had with AMD. So for me personally, never had an issue. Never had an issue with any games. Like, I find actually the Nvidia drivers sometimes worse, but it's not really a discussion to be had, because it's a very, like... Here's the thing, I have a problem this time, where I see that Nvidia is above AMD. Software. If, like, yes, maybe the new 6000 series will get closer to Nvidia, or maybe even like gets on the same level as the new 3000 series. Maybe. But Nvidia has realized that with hardware, they're not really impressing anyone anymore. Because everybody expects that Nvidia has like the next big thing. So Nvidia started to invest into features, software. And that is something AMD cannot provide. Like, one of the features I'm really using right now is like DLSS, which is fantastic. Of course, they will get ray tracing, which is fine. But another thing I'm using as a streamer is the audio function from my NVIDIA card. AMD will not have that, and that will go away. And it's like something I don't want to miss out really on. So yeah, like when it comes to graphic cards, AMD has they will have issues. So yeah, you have missed it. I'm sorry. Let's have a look at stuff, because they like to jump away from numbers super quickly. So this was what was this? Oh yeah, this is a comparison for the 3000 series. By the way, League of Legends is 50% faster. Yeah, this is the performance jump when it comes to comparison to the AMD Ryzen 3900 XT. And hey there, Red Menace, good to see you. So they definitely have some jumps here. They definitely have some jumps. Like, this is pretty impressive. Then they have, let me show you. Where is it? This is Cinebench. Yeah, this was interesting. So they showed, there it is. They showed even the bad numbers. And yeah, Kagato says something very interesting here. Curious how it looked like on 4040p, which is becoming more normal, and 4K for CPU heavy titles. So they did it here. There's Ashes of Singularity, which has a fantastic CPU test. So we can see in comparison to a Core i9 1090K, like it seems like they managed 5% more in 1080p. Like I would have definitely loved to see the results for 4040p. But there is something interesting. There is something very, very, very interesting here. And it's this one. Let me tell you something as a long-time Battlefield player. Battlefield player, or Battlefield as a game, is a bitch when it comes to CPUs. Battlefield games hack your CPU and murder it. That is one of the things I noticed immediately when I started to play Battlefield 5 and I got my new CPU at that point. And all of my cores were running. Like, my CPU was doing the damnest to keep up with Battlefield 5. It was not my GPU, interestingly enough. It was my CPU who was gasping for air. And it's because Battlefield is a highly CPU game. It's with all the physics, exactly, because there's like still a lot of stuff going on. Yes, I know it's not as crazy as like the older games anymore, but it's still crazy enough to put a lot of pressure on your CPU. So that they actually have minus 3%. That is rather interesting. That is rather interesting. I wonder what the reason for that was. I really do. So, yeah. No, I can... They do utilize more than 8 cores. Like, I have a 16-core CPU, and they are all going sky high when Battlefield 5 is going up. Like, I have tested it quite a bit, and Battlefield is really good at utilizing your CPU, but they are putting all the CPUs under pressure. This is why I cannot stream Battlefield 5, by the way, over my desktop CPU. This is why I have to, whenever I stream Battlefield 5, I had to switch to GPU streaming because my CPU was so much under pressure that it didn't have the time to do the streaming at the same time, which I normally can do. Like, normally it doesn't matter if I stream on GPU or CPU. But Battlefield, no chance. All my 16 cores were hammered. Yep. All of them. Yeah, maybe, like... Let's be honest, the Frostbite engine has their issues. Like, it's not Bethesda when it comes to the issues Frostbite has, but it's also not great. Like, they are literally essays about the Frostbite engine, what it does to CPUs and stuff, and yeah, it's not... It's not great. It's not great. But still, very interesting. The same goes with Total War 3 Kingdoms. Total War is another very CPU-heavy game. So... yeah... like... do you need to upgrade from a 3000 series to the new 5000 series? I would say no. Like, let's look at those numbers. League of Legends, 50% more. Oh wow, so now I can play League of Legends at 500 FPS instead of 360. Wow. Wow. Right? Like, who gives a damn? Yeah, it's like it doesn't matter anymore. PUBG, okay. PUBG can be, you know, has its moments sometimes. Dota, it's the same thing with League of Legends. Like, who gives a damn about that? That's like, alright. That is something I let count. Battlefield 5, I said it again. We don't have to talk about this. Total War 3 Kingdoms, only 6%. That's not as crazy as I thought it would be. CSGO. I hate CSGO benchmarks. I hate them at this point because it became a thing to basically showcase on how much FPS we can still squeeze out of that game. Right? It's like, oh man, I have only 500 FPS. I have 600 FPS. Oh, I have 1,000 FPS. Like, it's really just became, it basically became the penis comparison in the FPS world. And it annoys me so much. It annoys me so much. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand why they use CSGO, because CSGO is one of those games who is using single CPU threading. I understand why they choose CPU, because it's really good and it's scalable. They could run Quake 1. Actually, no. Like, again, like, the reason why they use CSGO is really, it has a huge scalability on single core performance. And it works even with new CPUs. That's why they use it. That's the reason. But I still find it so annoying. It's like, what are you trying to tell me? Like, okay, the CPU is working good on one thread, which none of those games actually use anymore, but okay, besides the CSGO. Right? Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Here's a problem I always have with those numbers. Always. It doesn't matter if it is AMD, it doesn't matter if it is Intel, Nvidia. They are all full of shit. Let's look at the games. League of Legends. Okay. Still getting played by a lot of people, but we are already in like hundreds and hundreds of FPS. Who cares? PUBG. Okay. That is actually one of the games I let through. Dota 2. Again, same thing with League of Legends. F1 2019. Yeah, by the way, the new F1 is out soon, so yeah. Then Battlefield 5. Is anybody still playing that? Like, I thought everyone has been going back to Battlefield 1. Right? Like, Total War 3 Kingdoms, okay, people still play that, but it's only a 6% increase. So it's not too dramatic. CSGO, we talked about this. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, 28%. Does anybody still care for this game? Like, anyone? The same goes with Far Cry New Dawn. Does somebody care for this game still? Like, we moved on from that. Yeah, but here's the thing. What is this game? Oh, okay. Yeah, same thing. It's like, for gaming people, I am more interested that you are showing me, I don't know, show me Watch Dogs Legion. Show me Watch Dogs Legion coming out soon. Show me Cyberpunk. Show me that. Show me games which are really new, a lot of people are playing, or which are coming out soon. Show me how Baldur's Gate 3 runs. It's I know, I said this before, it's the same thing with Doom. when people are coming up to me and showing me like the new benchmarks for Doom and Doom Eternal, it's like, okay, cool. But how about we are focusing on stuff which is coming out, because this is new hardware, and I want to see how the new hardware is doing on, well, new games. Because every game is performing differently. And Shadow of the Tomb Raider, yes, it is demanding, it has ray tracing shadows, and it's really good for showing how much like that game is eating up. I get why they're doing it. But then it doesn't really help me to determine if I would get the same performance on a new game. Like you can even see it here in the numbers. I mean, look at this. Total War of Three Kingdoms is newer than Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Shouldn't be as demanding as Shadow of the Tomb Raider, but still gets less performance out. So I cannot even determine if every game will run with 28% more performance in comparison to the 3900 series. You know, that's my point. It's like, how much do I really get out of this? But with that said, this looks great. Like, the numbers are good. It seems like they finally like outperformed Intel, even in single performance. And that's good. Here are the price tags again. Interesting. They're 5,800. Is only 8 cores. That's like interesting. Like, I mean, sure, why should they go up in cores? I get that. Why should they go up? They are like more pressing issues than going up in cores again. Right? Like my 2700 has 8 cores, 16 threads. But it has far more pressing issues. But 400 more. You know? But this is also pretty good. Like $300. And I'm pretty sure you can keep your old motherboard if you're already like running an AMD. Like, that's pretty good. That's really, really good. If you have one of the older Ryzen 1 or Ryzen 1 Plus, like not the high-end ones, but like the medium to low-end ones, and you just want to upgrade again, like $300, that's pretty cheap. Like, yeah, well, I'm talking from a pure motherboard perspective. Like, you have to buy a motherboard no matter what. No, I mean, like, if you already have like an Gen 1, Gen 1 Plus, and you are still like using your old motherboard, it seems like you can just buy the new CPU for $300 and then you're done with it. But it seems like as if the 5,800 is the best in the price segment. Like, Do you need 24 threads for gaming? Like, this is cool. This is fine. Like the cores, the threads, the gigahertz, right? This is cool. This one is like, do I need this? Like, even if you're using it for more than gaming, like, do I have to go at this? Like, again, we don't really know what will happen when the new console's out and developers are actually starting to focus on like the new capabilities they have with the hardware they get, which will be very, very interesting. Like we saw basically the same thing happening with the PlayStation 4. When the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One came out, games slowly started to adapt and they started to use multi-processing, like multi-cores, and all the new graphic features and whatnot. So I wonder how fast the gaming industry will adapt when it comes to gaming and the performance and the capabilities, and how quickly this CPU makes sense. Does it take a year? 2 years? 3 years? 4 years? Then this one is useless. But let's say the gaming industry is adapting in a year, which I don't think so. I mean, it's the gaming industry, so probably not. But if they would, then I would say, yeah, this one makes sense. But if they're taking like another 3 or 4 years before they like fully adapt to all the new features the consoles have to offer, this one, if you want to get into the high-end segment. Like, even for pure gamers, 6 core, 12 threads. Keep in mind that the new consoles are also using 8 cores and 16 threads. So I assume that 8 cores and 60 threads will become the new bottom line and will become the new thing. So I'm not sure about this one. This seems to be like if you really have a tight budget and you really have to upgrade your CPU, but 450, it's not doable. And this one makes sense. But let's say you have the money, you can do this. And I wouldn't be surprised if this CPU in particular will carry you through the whole next console generation. Like the 4000 series of Intel did. Like so many people like Sakura, and I know so many other people who are still running like an i7 4790 or whatever, right? Like so many people are still running that CPU, and they've been using that CPU for 7 years. They were using it through the whole PlayStation 4 and Xbox One era. And I think this could be the CPU who would do the same thing for PlayStation 5 and Xbox One. This could be it. And when you think about it, like $500 over 7 years. It's decent. Yeah. That's like what? $70 per year? That's a pretty good value. That's a pretty good value. And it's coming out November 5th. November 5th. Let me see something. November 5th. That is a Thursday. Do we have anything in particular? Coming out on November 5th. Yo, Arizona. Good to see you. Hello, hello. Let me have a look. It's before the consoles are coming out. That makes sense. No. There's nothing November 5th. Good. Good. All right. All right. Well, that was good.